The crux of Collin Sexton's playmaking attack is his athleticism, where he leverages his explosive first step, change of pace, and acceleration to consistently get into the teeth of the defense and generate advantages. Of course, the foundational skill of playmaking is passing, which Sexton, contrary to popular belief, has a relatively strong grasp of, able to use a variety of fakes, lookaways, and his ability to launch the ball at high velocities to take advantage of his vision and find teammates at a high level. This also applies to cross-court reads, which may come as a surprise considering Sexton's limitations height-wise, and becomes important when discussing how Sexton translates his passing into functional playmaking. Sexton's combination of these two attributes, athleticism and passing, is most apparent in his drive and kick game, where he is able to use his speed to pressure and collapse the defense, from which point he weaponizes his underrated kick-out game. What's vital about Sexton's kickout game is his ability to hit these kickouts while hardly ever having to actually look at his target, which is beneficial because it denies the defense a hint as to who to rotate to in order to nullify an offensive advantage. Imprints of Sexton's world-class athleticism can be found in his kickout game as well, as Sexton is able to use his hang time to access the easiest passing window. Check out the lift he gets on these passes. All these attributes are present in Sexton's off-ball game as well, as Sexton is very intelligent to initiate these back cuts, upon which he could hit teammates on the perimeter with his kickout game. Peep the hang time he gets on this one. In this one, Sexton gets great hang time, as well as throwing a no-looker. Sexton finds cutters at a high rate from these spots as well. But rim pressure based playmaking isn't necessarily where Sexton butters his bread, because his strongest area of playmaking is actually in the pick and roll, where, on top of his athleticism and passing, Sexton's technical skill and manipulation make him a surprisingly effective pick-and-roll ball handler. When Sexton gets north-south space on his initial defender against drop coverage, he's able to effortlessly lock them in jail using his elite deceleration, creating a 2-on-1 advantage with Sexton and the roller versus the dropping big. Now imagine you're the big of the situation. You read the scouting report, and you know that Sexton's sweet spot is right here in the short mid-range, where he's among the best in the league at floaters and jump shots from this area. However, you still have to account for your man rolling to the basket. When bigs in this situation choose to commit to the roller, Sexton often generates scoring opportunities, or the play turns into a more conventional two-man game with the roller. However, when the big commits to Sexton, the responsibility of defending the roller falls to the low man. Depending on how this player gestures the play, different playmaking opportunities open up for Collin. If the low man doesn't, or falters in, shutting off the roll, the roller is able to get behind the defense and right under the basket. While waiting for the roller to get an optimal position, Sexton uses his twitchiness and footwork to further lull the big into committing to him and essentially forgetting about the roller. Notice also how Sexton operates extremely well in this congested space, thanks to the precision of his own footwork. Sexton also uses his footwork to manipulate bigs into contests with these convincing 2-foot plants that resemble a player who is about to go up for a floater. Check out this play wherein after jailing CJ, Sexton tricks Nurkic into a contest with this plant. Sexton has also decked his pick-and-roll armory with subtle dribble moves, such as this in-and-out dribble that he uses to help gather cleanly upon a deceleration, which aren't necessarily impressive in and of themselves, but add to his overall game. Here, Sexton's power dribble convinces Deadman to jump, expecting a shot. This might have been a carry, but you get the point. If the low man does help, Sexton is more than capable of spotting the open man in the opposite corner.
I'm always watching the second defender, and I'm just pretty much reading the big and reading if anyone's going to step up.
On these plays, watch how he skips across the court to get to the location of the easiest passing window, showing great pacing and fluidity. Watch how effortlessly he flips his hips here to reduce the difficulty of the pass. And, in general, Sexton displays quite strong ball handling and reads in these spots. These situations sometimes result in cuts to the basket from the player in the corner. Sexton's manipulation on these takes is quite good, here just barely staying on the ground to fake this lob before hitting a Koro on the cut. And he could definitely throw in some flair on these when he needs to. In order to circumvent all of this, teams sometimes scheme against Sexton differently by bringing additional help from other defenders, which opens up holes in the defense that Sexton is able to exploit for more playmaking opportunities. A good example of this can be found in the Cavs' pair of games against Dallas at the end of 2021, where the Mavs covered Sexton-Allen side pick and roll like this, with the dropping big playing up against Sexton while the paint is clogged to shut off a roll. This involved the defender on the opposite wing leaving his man to bring help on the nail, to which Sexton responded by just finding the man on the opposite wing with his good cross-court passing game. On this one, Finney-Smith brings the nail help, but quickly recovers to Osman, and with Sexton's floater shut off due to Richardson navigating the screen well, Hardaway digs in to kill the roll. Sexton responds to this by just recognizing that the player in the strong side corner, which is a Koro, is open, and hits him streaking across the three-point line. Miami will blitz this high pick and roll while constructing what is essentially a wall to block off any penetration. Sexton, in response to this, gestures to Allen to re-screen, accelerates past Butler and Dedmon to use the second screen, and with the offense back in rhythm, Love busts the zone with his good back cut and Sexton finds him on the move. And more broadly, in various circumstances, Sexton was able to identify holes in the defense left by help defenders. Throughout the whole season, Sexton simply showed great synergy playing alongside rollers. Because of Sexton's extremely precise control over his own pace, he's able to adapt his pace, and thus the pace of the entire play, to that of the roller, which helped to correct for mistakes the roller may have made. Important because the 2021 Cavs rolling core was rather poor. On this play, Sexton burns Richardson on the screen and then uses this extremely subtle stop and start to allow Allen to catch up before throwing the lob. Here again, Sexton blows by Richardson, but Allen lags severely behind the play. To compensate for this, Sexton throws in this incredible deceleration, coming to a complete halt, which freezes the defense and allows Allen to get back into the play. Sexton's fluidity and patience made him efficient in executing these simple pick-and-roll takes. Sexton's instincts in pick and roll are also impressive, here shuffling to the baseline in order to open up the rolling lane for Allen, then taking the extra dribble to get in position to dump it down to him. Here, the roll is shut off by weak side help, and while Collin could shoot over Capella here, he realizes that with an already disorganized defense, a simpler shot can be generated, so he takes it right under the basket, concentrating 4 out of 5 defenders in this tiny space and allowing for an easy Okoro cut. The biggest hole in Sexton's playmaking game is his relative lack of dribble moves or dribble combos. Sexton lacks many go-to dribble moves on the perimeter, which holds back his driving ability against longer defenders, as Sexton is limited in his ability to size up and soften defenders on the perimeter to get a blow-by on them, and instead kinda just forces himself inside, which often results in him getting walled off and clock being wasted. This was mostly a problem in his 2021 season, but it's something he showed clear signs of improvement on in his short 2022 campaign. Sexton also occasionally has problems with his pass deliveries. And he does misreads at times. Also, when starting from the corner or wing, Sexton is very weak at responding to when the defense brings weak side help. This video isn't intended to convince you that Sexton is secretly an elite playmaker, but out of all of the misunderstood aspects of this very misunderstood player, the extent of Sexton's playmaking ability is almost completely unknown to fans, and turns him and his ceiling from supposed spark plug to true Swiss Army knife.